Welcome back, guys. And
We were hyped. I mean, the amount of let's goes that were sent back and forth is crazy.
I think this trade kind of shocked us a little. It kind of shocked me.
super exciting.
That's kind of hard to believe.
Let's get hyped and let's get into the video.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Talking Tridents, a Mariners podcast. We haven't been here in a few weeks, so we have quite a bit to cover. But is it noteworthy? I don't know. We'll see. So let's get right into it.
We've had a little, lack of news recently, but hey, let's.
Well, that's what we were waiting for, some news to happen, and we have enough compiled now where we can make a video about it. So
Right.
To start things off, though, Hall of Fame votes have come out. Felix did not make it this year. He will not be part of the 2026 class, but he did, however, make a big jump. We saw his numbers from last year go to 20.6% up to now 46.1%. One of the biggest jumps we've seen in voting history. What does that mean to you, Devin? And I mean, what do you think the likeliness of him getting in next year or the year after is now?
Yeah, the whole thing overall, it sucks that he didn't make it. I think seeing the big jump is great. I think it's a good sign. In his prime, he was like, think of a pitcher better than him when he was in his prime, And what sucks is that if he was on the Yankees, he'd be in the Hall of Fame already. I think the lack of offense that the Mariners had at that time really hurt him because, he missed out on a lot of wins. And just being able to, like, every game that he pitched in was a close game, but only because of him. Like, he would give up one, maybe two runs, and the Mariners would still find a way to lose. So it was, But I think it's really exciting. I think it's good that he made that big of a jump. And I think because of that, come next year, I think now he has a much better chance of making it in to the Hall of Fame, at least next season or next year, which would be awesome. I think he definitely deserves it. I mean, he's like, a Mariners legend. You remember the King's Court, the K cards. Like,
I'll never forget.
I mean, I know we went to a couple of those games inside, and there was, I can't think of other than like Randy Johnson, I can't think of another Mariners pitcher who deserves as much, recognition and let alone the Hall of Fame as Felix does. So.
Well, from 2009 to 2015, I mean, he was a household name. He was, posting sub-3 ERAs. The thing that really killed him was his win-loss record, I think, a lot of the times. And, you kind of alluded to that with the lack of offense that he experienced. But, I mean, there was very few pitchers, less than a handful, I'd say, that were comparable to his prime from 2009 to 15. And it was just really special to see. So, Felix, sorry you didn't make it this year. You will make it. It's just a matter of time. This was a weaker year if you look at the Hall of Fame, voting this year, and we have some really big players coming up in the next few years. So hopefully Felix can make the next jump to 75% next year and make it happen. So,
right, I really hope so. He definitely deserves it, 100%.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I still remember his perfect game, and all those games where he just was struggling through a 1-0 win. So.
Yeah, it's like, what more do you want? What more could he possibly do? There is nothing more that he could possibly do, and I think that's just
what he could have done more. He could have batted more and got hit some more grand slams.
Seriously, he could have won those games single-handedly. Yeah, and it's just the Mariners just at that time were not in contention ever for playoffs. Yeah. Never now the Mariners are much more like mainstream team, I guess you could say, and get a lot more notoriety, whereas back then we didn't. So that's why a lot of people, I kind of overlooked Felix, I feel like.
I mean, what a career he had. Looking forward to now what we've seen for the offseason. We're going to do a little coverage of what's happened since our last video, give our final offseason grades, because it's looking like nothing else is going to happen. It looks like the team that we have now is going to be the team that they're going to run out to start 2026. So let's go through some of the things that happened first. I think the most noteworthy is Mariners were finally able to settle on a contract with Bryce Miller to avoid arbitration this year and potentially next year. So the numbers are in. He's making just shy of $2.5 million this year with a club option next year for just over $6 million. So what does that mean to you, and what do you think that contract means versus just going to the arbitration hearing and agreeing to 1 year rather than 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think with the second year option, it shows the Mariners have a little more faith in him, and potentially future plans with Bryce Miller, even beyond the second year. But I think this year, at least for me, is going to be a telling year of what is to be expected from Bryce Miller long term, because you look at 2 seasons ago, he was amazing, and he kind of came out of nowhere, I would say, and he was, amazing. Then you look at this past season, he was not good. I know he dealt with injuries off and on, which probably affected that a lot, but how are those injuries going to affect him long term, right? Last year in the regular season, not good. In the postseason last year, though, he came back strong.
He did.
He pitched
that was
really
the
well.
Bryce Miller we know.
Exactly, and he came through in huge. Well, it was in the postseason, so it was in a big moment, which was great to see. Now this year, I think it's going to be a really telling sign. Is he going to be able to be consistent? Maybe not, an ace like he was 2 seasons ago, but is he going to be kind of like what we saw in the postseason and be able to be consistent, or is he going to be more of what we saw last year in the regular season? So I'd say this year is going to be a telling sign for that, and I think that's why they wanted to have that second year option, right? Because if he is going to be able to pitch consistent like he was, then I would love to have him as part of this pitching staff, right? If he is going to be like last season, injuries and not pitching well, then it's going to be kind of, what do you want to do next, right? Like, where do we go from there?
And I like that you said that, because I think that was when going into arbitration, the Mariners were, they were only like $250,000 away, or $500,000 away from one another. But I think Bryce was saying, hey, I know that last year was a struggle, but I am going to be worth it. So I deserve it. And you know what? He bet on himself, and he got kind of what he was looking for. He got some, hey, after this next year, I'm going to be the guy you need me to be, so I deserve some recognition for that via a club option in 2027. And this year he's going in as the number 5 starter. Brian Wu surpassed him now. Obviously Kirby had his struggles, but he's still been more consistent. Same with Castillo and Gilbert. So Bryce Miller's going in as our 5 guy. So the expectations, I would say, are relatively low. If you were to go out there, pitch 30 games and have like a 3.8 ERA, even a 4 ERA, I think we chalk that up as a win for your number 5 guy. But Bryce Miller, I've watched some tapes of him this offseason, and his stuff is looking good. I think he's going to come into the season healthy. He's going to come into the season hungry, because he wants that $6 million club option next year. So
I'm sure,
I think it's a good deal on both ends. The Mariners are definitely showing him, hey, you know what? Prove us right, or prove us wrong. Prove to us that you deserve this money. And it's going to be on Bryce Miller now. And if not, then he's going to, the team will deny the option, and he'll just go back to arbitration next year. So I think this is a very telling sign to the Mariners, saying, hey, you know what, prove it. And I'm not opposed to that. We saw that in Julio's contract, with all the incentives and whatnot. And this is kind of like a mini incentive contract for Bryce Miller.
Yeah, I agree. I like it too. And I think just kind of piggyback off what you said, his what he attributed to his struggles last year was his injuries. And if he's coming into this season healthy, then we should see the Bryce Miller that we saw 2 years ago and in the playoffs this past season, right? If we don't, then, we can kind of say, okay, well, if he is healthy, and, maybe the 2 years ago was just kind of, some pitchers have that amazing year and they can never really get back to that even after injuries or not. But so, I think I'm excited to see what we're going to get from him this year. That his ceiling is really high, and he has a lot of upside, especially as a 5th starter, which I think is going to be good for him because the pressure's off, right? So he can kind of just relax, do his thing, and hopefully bounce back. And
One thing that I really enjoyed too is that Bryce Miller has 2 guys right behind him, in Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock.
Hancock, wow.
It's been off season, but both those guys. They're right at his heels. If he does not pitch the way he's needed to the first third of the season, I guarantee he's going to lose those opportunities. I'm not opposed to that. If a guy's struggling, send him down to AAA to figure it out. Bryce Miller's a young player with a lot of promise, like you said, an extremely high ceiling, ace potential. So give him the opportunity, but if not, also don't hold that against him. Go give him the help he needs. Get him in AAA, get his fastball back up, get his slider working again. He's added some pitches since his first 2 years in the league. So I think it's gonna be a really, really dangerous year for Bryce Miller, and in a good way. He's gonna be. I think he's gonna be killer this year. So, good on the Mariners for making this happen before the arbitration hearing, because no one ever wants to go to a court hearing to hear why you don't deserve money. So,
Yeah, right, for sure. And it's clear the Mariners are high on obviously their pitching staff as a whole, which is including him, because they don't want to, they didn't want to deal or trade anyone from this pitching rotation this offseason, which they potentially could have done, and with including Bryce Miller, had some value. So it's clear they want us. It's clear that they believe in him to an extent that they want him in this rotation this next year, right?
I'm not going to regret saying this, but the Mariners pitching staff in 26 is going to look like the 24 pitching staff. Everyone is going to be at their highest level. They're going to stay healthy. We're going to compete, and it's going to be okay that we didn't trade any of them away, because that's going to be the difference this year, is that our starting pitching is going to be elite so that our offense can be mediocre.
I sure hope so, because if we had our 2024 pitching staff, starting pitching staff last season,
with the offense,
I mean, with last season's offense, if that, it could have been so much better. But this year, hopefully, it all comes together, like you said.
Moving past Miller, we've had another flurry of moves, kind of more depth pieces. So let's go over that really quick. The one loss of depth is Samad Taylor was designated for assignment after a trade and has opted to become a free agent. He's the Tacoma Rainiers has the most stolen bases in Rainier history. I know it's kind of like small potatoes at this point, but he was a player that definitely had a lot of promise, and I think the Mariners were hoping to use him more. It never really worked out. So, Samad, hope you get your opportunity. But there's quite a bit of things, as I mentioned. Yesterday, Mariners signed Dane Dunning. He's a rotational depth, maybe a swing guy for us, who pitched in the 2023 World Series for the Rangers. Do you remember anything about Dunning specifically that kind of like what does that signing mean to you? Because obviously there's been some speculation online.
Yeah. I like it as a depth piece. It's nice to be able to have someone, like you said, that can swing from the bullpen to potentially like a spot start or into the rotation if there's injuries or something like that. So I like that as a depth piece. It's good. It's clear the Mariners are or have been focusing on the bullpen, this offseason. We saw the trade with Harry Ford for a bullpen piece, and we've, like you mentioned, we had multiple bullpen signings just recently for depth. And it's clear the Mariners focus on versatility when it comes to pitchers, right? Bullpen,
you gotta have versatility.
and starters, because you never know what can happen. So I like that. It's good he has, World Series experience, and I think it's a good move. It's
he's a few years removed from a 3.7 ERA season. I mean,
it's a low risk move, so it's really not like why now, type of thing.
And it's a minor league contract, so he's probably not going to break camp with the team. Like you said, I think he's going to be like a worst case. Like if a flurry of injuries happen, 3 guys go down, he's up. So
we have someone with experience that can start that can come up, right? So. Yeah.
And then another move was the Mariners traded for Yasver Zulueta. I don't really know much about him, so I guess we won't touch on him too much. And then also,
it's just another depth bullpen piece, really, right? Like, not much really you can say about that.
And then we also did we trade for Cooper Criswell, or was it a signing? I can't remember honestly. Oh, it was a trade. Cooper Criswell, he's another bullpen guy. He started for the Boston Red Sox, in 24. He had 18 starts and with a 4.08 ERA. So another depth piece. Maybe he gets a chance at some point. Maybe he doesn't. But then I think the most interesting one, and this is a former Mariner guy, but they also signed Patrick Wisdom to a minor league contract, who just killed it in the Korean League. So you never know what that could mean. I mean, that's some first base, maybe third base depth. Maybe a bat you bring up if you need somebody. But, just a flurry of moves that don't really have kind of like a specific reason they signed them, but it never hurts to have depth. And the Rainiers, they're not too far away, so that way at least a call-up's, a 45-minute drive away.
Yeah, I would say none of those moves have immediate impact, right? Like, because they're all mostly going to be minor league deals. But, like you said, it's good to have some depth. Patrick Wisdom struggled with the Cubs when he was in the MLB, but who knows? So I don't hate it.
But so like with all that taken into account and everything, let's give our off-season grades, because I don't know if you've seen, but the Mariners are ranked pretty high on a lot of these ranking tools. MLB ranked us in the top 5. A lot of these
top 5 of what, off season, or top 5
no,
like overall
top 5
teams?
Like in the power rankings. They're
yeah,
in the top 5, and I would say our offense and overall our team might look worse than it did in October. With losing out on Polo and Suarez. Obviously I know Mitch Garver was not a big help, but he's gone. And you have a downgrade with Knizner, and so there's some things that are kind of like, what was the Mariners' plan this offseason? Did they achieve it? And what's the overall grade? So, because obviously for me the biggest thing that we did this offseason was just securing Naylor in the first month. But after that it was pretty quiet.
Yeah. I'll let you go with your grade first and your reasoning behind it, and then I'll give mine.
Yeah.
First, hang on.
Yeah.
So what is the root? Is it realistic that the Mariners will make another, let's say, impactful move this offseason? Or do you think it's more likely that we're going to be pretty much done? And when I say like impact move, I'm talking like a big league move, right? Not like a depth piece.
Like a starter, someone who jumps into your lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of signings recently. Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers, Bo Bichette to the Mets, Luis Robert traded to the Mets. The offseason's still going. It never ends, right? It goes until that first day after the first day of the season. So I think the Mariners' likelihood to make a big impact trade is low. I put it at like 10 to 15%. I mean, I don't think much more is going to happen, and I think that's very telling with all these depth signings and trades that we've done. I think what's happening is the Mariners have said, hey, we're not willing to trade anyone from our rotation, and we're only willing to trade our lower 15 prospects. We're not willing to trade from the top 5 of our prospects right now. And that could change by midway point in the season. We saw that last year. We traded away some guys to bring some talent in. I think it's pretty low, and I think that's very frustrating because we needed that impact back. We needed to have someone slotted into right field, second base, third base, who is going to be an everyday starter and not a question mark going into the season. So, frankly, I'm pissed because I think that there was so much more that could have been done this offseason, and Dipoto and the front office were just not willing to dig deep and make that trade. I mean, again, going to the Luis Robert trade, or even like the trade for Peralta from the Brewers. There's teams out there that are willing to trade top 5 prospects, top 100 prospects in the MLB to get talent even for a year or two, and the Mariners didn't seem to be willing to do that. So I say it's pretty low. What do you say?
I agree with you. I think I've said this before in a couple previous episodes about this offseason, but I think the Mariners are done this offseason for the most part, and I think they're going to roll with what they have for now, and then come the trade deadline, if we're in contention or if we have momentum, then we're going to make a deal, make a big move, right? That seems to not always, but that seems to be what the Mariners like to do. I mean, last year they did it. And you saw last year's offseason was terrible. Everyone was pissed, and then they came at the deadline and made 2 big moves. So I think that's what they are comfortable with, and they think that if they can find some sparks from Cole Young, Ben Williamson, whoever it may be at the start of the season, then, oh, look, we didn't have to make a move. We already had the talent here, and now we're, saving money or whatever it may be, right? So, yeah, I agree with you.
I think that's even less likely than making an impact trade. I think it's less likely that these guys pan out to be the stars that you need them to be when they're
100%.
in their early 20s.
Yeah, right. So let's I just wanted to get your take on what you think, how likely a move would happen this offseason, or with the remainder of the offseason. So let's go into the grades. What's your offseason grade at this point for the Mariners, and then I'll give mine.
I mean, adding depth is great. You got to have depth to make a run because injuries are inevitable. So I really like the flurry of moves they made recently. Not saying that they're going to pan out or whatnot, but it's good to have some former MLB signings like we just did with Patrick Wisdoms and the Dane Dunnings. I think Josh Naylor was the biggest headline of this offseason. I think trading for Frere is great, but he's a big question mark. I think we have less answers now than we did in October. So for me, if I could give like a D++ or a C-, I would. It's not quite a C-, it's not a D+, and I know that's getting really specific, but I would say like top end C- because we just did not. We lost Polo. We lost Suarez. And Suarez is still available, so Mariners, go sign him at this point. I don't care. We got to have somebody in that lineup who can hit a home run that's not named Cal Raleigh, Julio, or Naylor. So I think, and bringing in Rob Refschneider was kind of like a, I don't know, just kind of a, hey, you know what, we tried our best. This is something. But, I mean, I'm disappointed. I mean,
Yeah.
I think last year they had a better offseason when they re-signed Polo. And they got who else did they get last offseason?
Dude, Donnie Barrels.
Donnie Barrels. That was horrible.
Donovan Solano.
But
Yeah.
it's just frustrating coming off of an appearance in the AL Championship, and this is what you do in the offseason and say, oh, you know what, we think our team has enough talent. They don't. I'm sorry, they just don't. We're looking at a
Right.
team that might hit high 80s in wins, and if you're not as good as last year, you're regressing. So it's great that we kept our prospects. It's great that we kept our rotation together. Those are silver linings, but we also needed to go out there, spend some money, trade somebody, and improve the lineup. And at the end of the day, your lineup is worse than in October. So, you know what? Final answer,
Yeah.
D+.
Oh, he went down.
I went
a
down,
grade
man. I'm
just from
pissed.
after his own explanation. He realized, what, C- was too high.
That was too high. It's just, yeah, I digress. So,
when you talk
what
through
are you
it,
thinking?
man. I like your explanation and reasoning. Frankly, I'm going to give an F this offseason.
Dude, an F?
Yeah, an F. And my reason behind that is I know we are not comparable as a franchise to the Dodgers, but the Dodgers won the World Series last year, and they went out and signed arguably the biggest name free agent to add. They signed Kyle Tucker, right?
And they got Diaz, not to mention Diaz, too.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying the Mariners could have signed Kyle Tucker, but I'm saying the Dodgers won the World Series, and they said, we're still going to add. Mm-hmm. The Mariners, made it to the ALCS, and they said, you know what, we're not going to add. We're not going to add. We're
going to miss out on Polo because he's not worth the $20 million, which I agree with. But
I agree he wasn't, but they didn't do anything else. And they said, we're not going to upgrade, we're going to downgrade. Mm-hmm. Because, like you said, we lost Suarez, we lost Polo. We even downgraded at our backup catcher position. We lost Mitch Garver. At least it appears at this point that we are banking on the fact that Cole Young, Ben Williamson, and maybe a couple other prospects in the mix are going to be answers and are going to be somehow better than Suarez or Polo or some of the other guys that were available, right? Brendan Donovan. Mm-hmm. I know there's other guys that had bigger price tags, but when you look at even Luis Robert, I'm not saying that maybe the Mariners, I'm 100% in on thinking this would have been a good trade, but the fact that we could have got Luis Robert for, I'm sure we had the prospects that the White Sox would have taken over the Mets, right? And we could have used him as a DH / potential occasional outfield, right? That's an upgrade right there. When the biggest moves we made this offseason are Rob Refschneider and what else would you say is the biggest move this offseason? Rob Refschneider and signing trading for Jose Ferrer, which is,
I mean, those are the biggest
question mark. That,
sure, yeah.
You have to be kidding me. That is not anywhere near an upgrade, or like I said, we downgraded this offseason. So frankly, I'm giving an F. Josh Naylor signing. Josh Naylor is awesome. Is great. I love that. But again,
that had to be done though. Yeah.
Yes, that had to be done, and I know we had to extend him, but we already had him for half of the year last year, right? So to me, that's staying the same where we were, right? Which is a big deal. I mean, we spent a lot of money on him, so great, but what else could we do? I feel like you could argue with the money, what have you, as the reason why the Mariners couldn't sign some of these guys, but I feel like there was some realistic moves that were upgrades that the Mariners could have easily made, and they didn't. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm giving it a
Yeah, I mean, I like your point too. To saying even Luis Robert, like you take a chance on a guy like that, and it might not work out long term. Like you might get him for a year or two. He puts up kind of what he did the last few years, but at least you're trying. And it felt like this offseason they just didn't try. And I would love to hear DePoto just come out and say, we offered our top 3 prospects for this guy. We offered this contract to this guy and got beat up by the Dodgers because, unfortunately, that's inevitable. Most of the people in the league got beat up by the Dodgers. So, the thing is, we have nothing to show. There's nothing to show that they'd actually tried to improve their team other than saying, we're going to keep our rotation together. We're going to try to finesse these trades. No. You have the prospects. MLB Pipeline just released it. We had, 6 or 7 prospects in the top 100? Trade away a few. I mean, we don't need them all. Truly, we don't need them all.
We don't need them all, and at the end of the day, not all of them are going to even be major leaguers. Right?
Yeah.
So why not trade them now when they have value? Also, I don't want to
Ackley was ranked higher than Mike Trout, and guess what happened?
Yeah. Exactly. So I don't want to keep harping on this too much, but I love that point. The Mariners, they didn't even show that, hey, we tried to make this deal, we offered this, we tried, or we offered this contract, we offered these players in a trade, right? But they didn't take it. They took this deal over us. But no, they're not. And so what did you expect? And also to the point of them saying, oh, we're going to keep our rotation together again. That's what they said last year.
Yeah.
And okay, great, we made it to ALCS last year. That's awesome. But I don't know. I just feel like you have to make
not contributing. So
yeah, again, they want to do the same thing again that they did last year. Which got us to the ALCS. If we make it to the ALCS again this year, I would be stoked. But it's you have to make. So
the odds of that are lower than them making an impact move. Let me just say.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to. There had to have been some upgrade that we could have made, but
I know that we're true
that's
Mariners
my case.
fans. We are Mariners fans through and through, right? We talk about this show all the time, or the team all the time off, the camera. We analyze things. We play MLB The Show with the Mariners. That's our team, right? We're gonna at the end of the day, we're gonna root for them regardless of what that looks like. But it's frustrating when you're coming off of a year like that and then you do an off season like this. So unless they go out and sign Suarez, unless they go out and make an impact trade, I mean, we're going into the season worse, and we have to accept that as fans. And you know what? I hope that the team proves us wrong. I hope that Miller has a sub-2 ERA and just absolutely obliterates the league. I hope that Cole Young has a 50 home run year. That's awesome, right? Let's go.
Maybe they know something we don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
they're
the professionals, right? We're just some guys, sitting in our rooms talking about them. So,
right, exactly, and that's why we're so passionate about it, is because we feel that we can. There has to be something that could have been done, but at the end of the day, we're, like you said, we're huge Mariners fans, and even after this, I go and play MLB The Show, and I'm playing the Mariners. It's
exactly.
Whatever.
So,
but yeah. So
well, with that, we will wrap up the bashing of the Mariners. Hoping that this offseason gets better. Hoping that we have some really big years from the key guys we need, because guess what? That's about it. So
yeah, we're gonna next video we have something kind of different and exciting to do. We're going to put our money where our mouth is, and we're going to put it to the test and see if we can be proven wrong on our grades for the Mariners, and we'll next video you'll see what that looks like. But we have an exciting one coming next video. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Comment down below what you think of our grades and what you think of the Mariners offseason so far to this point. And yeah, thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.
Comment below an A and tell me why it's an A, okay? I want to know that. Comment below an A.
If anyone thinks it's an A, oh boy, I would love to hear the reasoning behind that. There's no way.
I'm excited.
All right.
Thanks, guys.